So on today's book review, we have got the book Micro Habits, Tiny Changes That Supercharge High Performance. And this book is by 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀 and Damian 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐋𝐀. And this very particular book was released last week. So I am just reviewing it now, so bear with me. Video, I am going to be talking about what I learned from the book, how to apply it, and what I think about the book itself. So if this is your first time, this channel is mainly about reviewing self-help books and talking about them and understanding what content is in the books and how it can really help us. In the past, I used to look around for channels and places that I can find book reviews, and I never found anything. So I decided to create a channel whereby you can find self-help books and we talk about them. I literally tell you what this book is all about, and I don't gatekeep. I really tell you an honest opinion about what I think about the book. And remember this, sometimes a book may work for me and may not work for you, and it may work for you and may not work for me. But if that is something that you really enjoy, then you're welcome. This channel will be something that you really enjoy. So just give it a subscription, follow it for more self-help content and more productive content that would really help you. Okay. So this very book, Micro Habits, reminded me of Atomic Habits, because in Atomic Habits, they do have a section that talks about micro habits and the most important thing about creating small habits that really make a significant change or to make you achieve that big goal that you want to get to. You don't just start off by going and achieving that big goal. There are small habits that kind of come together for you to have that bigger goal. So it's kind of like, okay, this is very interesting. It's the beginning of the year. We have this book. Let's see what this book is all about. I'm talking about an introduction about this book and how it can help you and importance of habits. For example, in the first introduction of it, they say how you do anything is how you do everything. I never understood this until I started looking at my timekeeping. I'm quite someone that is not very early to a lot of things. And because I'm not very early to a lot of things, I sat down and I said to myself, because of that, I realized that how I do anything is how I do everything, because I didn't care so much about the fact that I was late and people should just go on with life. I realized that I do a lot of things like that in my life. The lack of responsibility and being nonchalant was something that was part of me that I want to get rid of, especially in this year. So then another important thing here that they said when it comes to these micro habits, they explain that sometimes 3 things in a day can make a difference in how your day goes. And they do explain here that in SEAL training, one of the Navy people, Rob O'Neill, said, wake up in the morning on time, make your bed the right way, and then brush your teeth. Those are 3 things that can make a change in your life, which is really very interesting. So we go through the whole book, and obviously they talk about what are micro habits, and they say your micro habits, they need to be small, which is good because we know micro is small and habits. They talk about these 3 things that will make micro habits. The first thing is that they need to be small. The second thing, they need to be simple. The third thing, they need to be speedy, which really makes sense. So they carry on in the book, obviously, and they talk about the small changes and everything that you can learn from here. So one thing that I've learned from this book, on the first chapter, it talks about this thing that everything in life needs to be celebrated, whether it's a win, whether it's a loss. We move on to chapter 1, which is how to motivate. So we move on to chapter 1, which says how to motivate yourself. And in how to motivate yourself, they start off by talking about job, career, or calling. Okay. And then here, one of the ladies, obviously the lady that they interviewed in the podcast, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, but let's just go to that part. She says that she has found that people tend to have one of three work orientations or ways in which they think about their work. She summarizes it as either a job, a career, or a calling. A job provides you with pay, benefits, and perhaps a few social perks, okay? A job career, however, they tend to be more driven and seek out more opportunities, okay? Finally, those who experience their work as a calling tend to view work as an end in itself. They feel a deep emotional connection to their work, believing that it contributes to the greater good, allows them to use their strength, and gives the sense of purpose, which I find very good. It says, find your motivation in whatever you do. Whatever motivates you, find your motivation. When you're working a job, find what motivates you. When you are, going to the gym, find what motivates you. When you're cooking, find what motivates you. In anything that you do, you need to find the point of your motivation that really helps you, which I found very interesting because we tend to lose motivation and talk about this thing called do, and it makes us motivation and a sense of direction. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, disappears. I'm sorry about that. Motivation. So, and it says here that extrinsic. why am I saying this word very wrong? Motivation is essentially, motivation refers to actions motivated by some outcome or a reward of money, prestige, or perhaps a new pair of trainers. For example, your motivation is based on the fact that, for example, you have a bet with someone, you're like, if you go to the gym this whole week, then I'm going to send you £100. That means that the motivation for that person to go to the gym is based on the £100, which is extrinsic motivation. So you need to understand that. Then they talk about this part of the intrinsic motivation, and it can altogether be more powerful. It's a more powerful kind of motivation than the extrinsic kind, okay? This is the kind of motivation that comes within yourself, the reason why you do something, the reason as to why you maybe go to the gym. Maybe you're tired of not being comfortable with yourself. You're tired of the fact that, maybe people make jokes of you. Maybe you're tired of the fact that you can do something about it, but you're choosing not to do it. So it says that inner motivation is more important than an external motivation. However, two of them can work together. The external and the internal motivation can work together to give you the best results that you can ever want when it comes to motivation. Then there is another part that I enjoyed in this book, which is called delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is a very good thing. And it talks about the fact that a lot of us as human beings, we don't wait for the outcome of whatever we're doing. We want quick results. We want a microwave kind of result. And it's sort of explaining here that sometimes you have to do things for a long period of time for you to get the benefits and the result of it. Okay? I use the gym quite a lot. It's like, you have to go to the gym quite a lot, or maybe do a lot of work, put in a lot of work, and wait for those results. The results may not be as fast as you want them. It may not be in a year that you achieve your targeted goal or your targeted weight or whatever you want to get to. But over and over a period of time, you get there. About how far can you project? How far can you go? How much can you push yourself? Then here they talk about Matthew Montgomery. I'm bad with pronouncing names. And he said that delayed gratification had helped him throughout his professional life. He offered an insight into discipline. It took him to lose about 47 pounds for his role as Ron Woodruff, okay, in the Dallas Buyers Club, a man dealing with the diagnosis of HIV/AIDS. And when you go into the book itself, he also explains that when he got the award for being the best, I think, actor or performing well in that movie, the kids were like, "Oh my God, Dad, you did well." And then he told them, "Do you remember that time when I lost a lot of weight and you were making fun of me and blah, 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 that kind of thing? This was because of this very particular role." So it sort of says that sometimes it takes very long to get to the point that you want to get to. Then another one that I liked in here in the book was how to find your purpose. And I think this part is very important. Having a sense of purpose is what literally drives you in life. When you don't have purpose in life, you don't see a reason as to why you want to wake up every day in the morning. And it says that if you're depressed, you are not weak. You are not crazy. You are a human being with unmet needs. That is why you wake up in the morning and say, what is my purpose? And it beats me because sometimes we make a choice of a lot of things. I've seen people that scroll on their phone for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, and then ask themselves, what is my purpose? Now, that is overconsumption. You're consuming things on the internet and you think the world revolves around the internet. The lots of things that are consuming your mind and you're taking over your mind are literally things that most people don't even know about, So sometimes what I'm trying to drive at is that a lot of things are a choice. And when you're looking for your purpose, you have to find what drives you. You need to find the motivation. You need to direct yourself. Those were a couple of things that I learned in the book. And let's talk about what I think about this book. Now, this very particular book, I rate it a 2.5 star. Now, the reason that's why I read this book a 2.5 star is because the title itself says micro habits, but everything within the book does not target any habits. It does not put things together to teach you about the habits. Now, you may be confused when you read this book because every chapter is all about a podcast. So Jack and Damian, they do have a highly successful podcast, which is High Performance Podcast. Now, they do interview high profile guests on that very podcast. So the chapters in this book are mainly around the people that they do interview in this podcast. So you might as well go and, watch the podcast. One thing I loved about this book is that every chapter, they do have a barcode that you can scan and go and listen to that very podcast and listen to everything that was said. However, I want to ask this question: where are the micro habits? what habits are you teaching me? I feel like this was more like a motivational book on how to go about life based on celebrities rather than micro habits themselves, because I want to understand what habits can I change, how can I rewire my brain to get to this point whereby I can understand these habits and get to do them. And it was very confusing because the very first introduction was good, but the farther you go into this book, the more uninteresting it becomes. And I'm sorry to mention that, but it does really become uninteresting because you have a lot of famous people in here, but what are the micro habits? Jack and Damian, what are the micro habits that you're talking about? So I'm a sort of person that likes to tie things together. Like if the book is about micro habits, tell me what habit. For example, delayed gratification. What is the habit you're teaching me about delayed gratification? Is it a habit of being strong? Is it a habit of like, what are you teaching me? Like, I didn't like the book. I don't like how this book is written. I don't like the sense of direction of where this book is written. It's literally, I don't want to say a waste of time. You can pick up this book and read it and tell me what you think about it. But for me, I would prefer to listen to the podcast than the book. And I do not know what I want. I want to say this. The previous book they had, I didn't like it as well. It was written in a similar fashion. And they've done the same thing again. It's literally like, I don't know if they took the time to write this book or they just copied and pasted from the podcast. And I'm sorry to talk like this and explain like this, but we have to be very brutal because when people are spending money to buy your books, there has to be a lot of knowledge that should be acquired. In the beginning of the book, they should have mentioned that if you want to listen to the podcast, then go and listen to the podcast instead, rather than if that's more interesting. But there are no habits I learned from this. Okay, for example, how to organize your time and life. Okay, they start by talking about Shane Parrish, and you go into that. They have a quote that says, if everything is a priority, nothing is. Now, what was the habit here? What habit am I learning from here? Because you said micro habits, small changes. What small change am I learning from this? So this is exactly what I think about this book. You can pick up the book. Obviously, I'll leave the link for this book in the bio, in the description, in the description. You can go and check out the book and you tell me what you think about it. And for me, it's a 2.5 star because I did not really learn anything. I just felt like I would prefer to listen to the podcast than actually read the book. That is my own honest opinion. And I'm sorry that this is quite short because there was no point for me to go over and over again talking about the book in all ways. There's not much that I learned from it. So anyways, sorry guys. And until next time, do not forget to like, comment and subscribe. Maybe the next book that we'll read may be a little bit much more better than this. But for now, that is it.